My literary luminaries, it has been a long time, and I apologize for that. Circumstances being what they were, I was never... Ow! That was my hand. Circumstances being what they were, I was never here at any sort of reasonable time to make a video. And I just started work, so that's been screwing up my schedule and, life things. But here I am. And this is a cool Top 5 Wednesday, and so I'm really glad I caught this one in time. This week's Top 5 is your Top 5 banned books, because this is Banned Books Week. And the concept of banning books is fascinating to me. I mean, I read Fahrenheit 451. I know the basics. And it baffles me. Absolutely baffles me. So, I took a look at the lists, and I have come up with 5 books that I have read and enjoyed. And for one reason or another, I don't necessarily understand why someone decided that this was not a book people were allowed to read. So, without further ado, let's get started. Number 1. As you could probably guess, because, I'm wearing the shirt. Number 1 on the list is To Kill a Mockingbird. Mockingbird's one of those books that I understand what probably got it banned, but in today's day and age, I'm wondering if it's still, if someone has still decided that this is a book people shouldn't read. Mockingbird tackles a very interesting issue of racism. Straight up racism in the trial of Tom Robinson, and whether or not Atticus is sort of doing what he should be doing by defending him. Of course, we have Atticus's side, which is, yes, of course, I'm a decent human being and I should be doing this, whereas society does not necessarily see it that way because Tom is, of course, black. I love To Kill a Mockingbird, if you couldn't tell, obviously. I've talked about it before. I think it's a phenomenal book. Atticus Finch is my nearest and dearest love of my life. And the fact that this ends up on a banned books list never will stop ever surprising me. Everyone should read Mockingbird. It is known. Number 2. Number 2, I am not surprised of why it gets banned, but I loved A Clockwork Orange by Anthony Burgess. It took me a while to read, because of course, Clockwork Orange is written half sort of in Nadsat, the language that Alex, the main character, speaks. And it gets really difficult to follow for the first third to a half of a book until you really sort of get the flow of what the words are and what they mean, and you can follow it like that. But Clockwork Orange is a fascinating look in sort of the psyche of the human mind. Alex Delage is crazy pants. No doubt about it. And there's really disturbing and weird stuff happening in the book. But banned? No. No. If anything, it should be a cautionary tale for what not to do. Oh, my fellow droogies. I mean, I like Clockwork Orange enough that my main character in my manuscript has adopted Alex as a nickname because of the main character from Clockwork Orange. Granted, my main character's name is Alistair, and Alistair is the name is derived from Alexander. But anyway, Clockwork Orange is fantastic. I love it. Number 3. Number 3, as it is listed in the banned books list, is not actually one book, but I'm going to group it that way anyway because it's all one big story, and that is Lord of the Rings. Now, unless we're banning books for putting too much descriptive text into it, not quite sure why this one is here. There have been talks about how the different races in Lord of the Rings are based on, the different ethnicities, and, the Jews and this person and that person, and then, I don't even know, I haven't followed all of that particularly well. But Tolkien's a phenomenal author, despite his love of the rolling hills of Bree for pages and pages and pages. So I don't quite know But it's a phenomenal series, once you get through some of that descriptive text and whatnot, and it's going to be something that I love and hold dear for long, long time. So Lord of the Rings is absolutely on my list. Number 4. Number 4 is a book that I actually haven't read in a long time, but I remember very distinctly. I watched the movie a couple years back now because I'd heard some terrible things about it and I wasn't sure about it, and in the end I'm actually quite happy with the job that they did, because Bridge to Terabithia was an amazing book when I was younger and would still probably hold up today. And again, I can sort of understand how this might have gotten banned. It covers a very dark topic, and it's something that people get a little about when we're talking about younger children, but this is when we have to start teaching kids, and yes, there's a very dark passage at the end of the book, and for any of you who may not have read this book, I won't spoil it for you, but you should really go read this book right now. I don't think it deserves to be banned for that ending, because the whole rest of the book is such a love letter to growing the imagination and cultivating creativity in young children and letting yourself create your own world. It's what makes people like us. It's what makes the people that love reading and love writing and who are the next generation to make these stories. That's what builds us. And if you ban books like Bridge to Terabithia, we're never going to get that necessarily. And it's so... it makes me angry. It's such a good book, at least to my memory of it. I haven't read it in a while. It might be awful. But even if the writing isn't completely up to par, it's absolutely a good story to be told, and I love it. And Josh Hutcherson as the main little boy character in the movie was just fantastic. But no, absolutely. Recommend the book, recommend the movie. Bridge to Terabithia. Wonderful stuff. And finally, number 5. Number 5 might surprise some people that this would actually end up on a list of mine, but I'm putting The Great Gatsby on here. Because while there was a portion of my life, and I will admit this, that I would have made it first on the list to be banned forever and every copy should be burnt, I still don't like Great Gatsby. I think it's an awful story. But F. Scott Fitzgerald is a phenomenal writer, and Gatsby is incredibly well written. And unless we're banning it because of, infidelity? Is that what got it banned? People die. Whole bunches of people die, but people die in Shakespeare. And there's infidelity in Shakespeare. Like, unless we're just going to ban everything, I'm not quite sure how Gatsby ended up on this list. But it's a very well-written book. I will not argue that point. I don't like the story. I think all the characters are useless. But Fitzgerald could write. And it just baffles me. So, in spite of all else, I mean, it pushed Harry Potter off. I love me some Harry Potter. But my number 5 is going to be Great Gatsby. So anyway, those are my top 5 banned books for this Wednesday. Thank you so much for bearing with me during this time of not being around for a while, dealing with the air conditioner and the man outside doing weed whacking or whatever he's doing. I am going to try and have videos up more often, even if I have to record them in advance, just because I feel bad not giving you guys the content that I've promised you, so we're going to see how that works. But I am going to try and have content more consistently. Do not fear, I have not forgotten you. I'm just figuring out how to run my life now that I have a job. And I work in a restaurant, so it's not a consistent schedule. So let me know. I'm going to put at least 1 or 2 links down to some banned book lists in the down below. Let me know what your top 5 banned books would be. And if you've got any ideas on why either the books I said or the books you mentioned might have been... And of course my microphone broke. So let me know if you've got reasons for why my books or yours might have been banned. And as always, I'll see you in the next video. Bye! And there's stuff going on out there. I don't care, because we've had this argument before, and they're just going to keep going, and I'm going to ignore them. And I hope you do the same. Whatever. I'll just try and get this done quickly. Of course, now that I'm done with my list, the Weed Whacker man outside has stopped. I don't care. I don't care. I'm not re-recording it. I like what I said. It'll be fine. You'll forgive me.